I just got this package in the mail. This is the Vivosun VGrow Smart Box. Full disclosure, Vivosun did send me over this box, and they also gave me a discount code to give to you, my viewers. You can use discount code MrGrow15. That works on both their website as well as Amazon. I've heard so many good things about this box. I've really been wanting to try it. I've talked with both Pigeons 420 as well as Rob from CLTV. Both of them use this box with success for, I'm gonna say 1, maybe 2 years now. And one of the things they said to me is, it just works. Now I personally do like having some automation in this grow, although I'm not gonna be able to just plant a seed, place it in this, and then come back 4 months later for the harvest. I will still check on the plant that I'm growing in it every single day. But a lot of the stuff is gonna make it easier. Lighting, temperature, humidity. Those are just some of the things that are automated here in this box. So let's get this set up and let's get a plant going in it. Okay, so I've got a section here in my office/studio, just a small little area here where I'll be able to put the VGrow box. Got it next to the wife's indoor bike and my dusty dumbbells. But yeah, this spot right here is all that's really needed for this VGrow box. Okay, so I open up the box and this is what is shown. We've got multiple boxes here. A, C, D, E, and then B is actually underneath there. So we will start with A, which is the base placement. And then we're gonna kind of work our way up the different letters and we'll get this all set up. Got the base placed right where I want it. Let's go over a couple details here. See, it lifts up right here. There's additional accessories in here. Looks like there's a power cord, the water gauge. See the strings on the bottom there, which is actually a wicking mechanism. Basically water gets put into the bottom there and it wicks up top. Comes through these strings right here. And then it'll wick up into the fabric pot, which sits right there. So that was the A box. Now it is time to move on to the B box, which has the poles in it and also the skin. Pole that says B goes right into the hole that says B. You just slide it down. And I gave it a little push to make sure it's flush. All 4 poles have been put in place and a little click happens to be sure that it is actually fully down in there. Next up, we're gonna crack into box C, and it's the top part, and we'll just basically slide it and pop it right there on the top. We place the top on there, and you can see this thing is really coming together. We're almost done here. There's just a few more steps. I would like to show you the top of this cover though. A couple things to point out, there's the light right here, and it does have a cover over it too, so if the plant grows up into it, or if water were to splash or water vapor, whatever comes in there, it does protect the light, which is good. Here is the carbon filter. Comes down, you can see it right here. This is actually replaceable too, so if you get through a few grows and realize it starts to stink, you can certainly replace it. Click that back in place. And then up here, you can see it's got some inputs there. One for the water, one for the temperature and humidity probe, and then a few other inserts, which I'm not too sure what they're for. I'll find out here in a minute. The installation instructions that came on the top of the unit, we've already gone through a handful of these steps. We've got the base placement, we mounted the poles, we secured the smart top cover. Now it says to plug it in, then insert the water level, and temperature humidity sensors. Then we attach the skin at the end. We have a few boxes left here. We have the supply box, and then we also have the accessory box. Accessory box has the temperature and humidity sensor in it, and also has the water level sensor, which is what we're gonna need here in a minute. All right, I've got those 3 things hooked up. We've got the temperature and humidity probe right here. This will just dangle down. I'm gonna find a way to kind of secure it to the top there, probably, and have it hang down. The water level sensor is right here. It actually runs all the way down and gets put into the bottom here. And then there's the water meter, which is right here. This will actually pop up once you see that the water level is full, and it will slowly drop down to where it is now, where there's no water in there. And the last 2 things left to do are to put on the skin and then plug it in. Okay, it is all assembled and I plugged it in. You can see it is working right there. I actually did connect it to the app, which I'm gonna show you here in a minute, but just wanted to show you what it looked like with the skin on. And I also wanna show you what comes in those 2 boxes. Taking a look at the last 2 boxes, supply box and the accessory box. We already kind of cracked into the accessory box and we took out the temperature and humidity sensor and the water level sensor. Let's open it up and see what else remains in here. So first up, we've got the twist ties. Roller twist ties, always good for low stress training. Got a container here for watering. Should be able to mix up the nutrients and just pour in directly using this. Got trellis net. I'll be able to use this for plant support or scrog out. We've got some magnetic hooks right here. There's 6 of them. These are the add-on bases. There's 6 of them. Got some trimmers. Crack this open. And we have a wire tie for cable management. So that's this box. Let's crack into the supply box next. In this box, it looks like it includes the grow bags, domes, gloves, syringes, nutrients, coco. Right off the bat, brick of coco. Be able to moisten up this brick and then add it into the grow pot, which is right here. 3-gallon fabric grow pot is what this is. Got base nutrients. Looks like there's A and B. Looks like the base A is a 410 NPK and the base B is a 142 NPK. I got some gloves here, little humidity domes. This is helpful, especially for me, being in a very dry climate. Popping this on top, it allows the soil underneath it to stay moist, help increase my germination rate a little bit. And this bag looks like there's some planting tools like a shovel, some labels, and syringe. Let's go into the app a little bit. Like I mentioned, I already added the VGrow box in here. In order to do that, you just press the top button up in the corner. It'll search for devices and then you'll be able to connect. If it doesn't recognize it, you'll be able to click on whatever piece of equipment that you're trying to connect in the bottom there. What you're seeing right here is actually my 4x4 grow tent, so not the smart box. You'll see that 4x4 set up in future videos. But scrolling down here, we want to go to the VGrow smart box. And then you can see you got all the different controls up top here. So grow light, first thing. You can see you've got options to just do it manually. You can put it onto a cycle here, which is what I'm going to be using it at. You can adjust the light intensity, the spectrum, whether you're in seedling, veg, or flower, start time, how long you want the light to be on, and then how long you want the light to be off. And then sunrise, sunset feature is available as well. There's also an area there for recipes. Not really sure how to use this. I'll have to research this and dig into it a little bit deeper. For the circular fan, you can control this. Either a manual control, cycle. You can set the different speed, start time, on duration, off duration. You got the options for the duck fan. Most likely it's going to be under auto is what I'll be using it for. And I'll set it for a specific temperature trigger, humidity trigger. There's also a spot for standby status, which is pretty cool. So if it's not reaching that certain temperature or humidity, you can set it so the fan speed stays on at 1, or you can turn that off entirely. There's USB 1, which you can hook up other components to, it looks like. USB 2, which they have default under drip irrigation. If you use drip irrigation, that's an option here. I'm going to be using the bottom wick up system, so I'm not going to have drip irrigation enabled at all. And yeah, pretty straightforward here. Seems like a pretty easy to use app. Just takes a little bit to kind of browse through and get used to it, but it looks like it's going to be pretty easy to set up. Okay, now it's time to hydrate this brick of coco. There wasn't any instructions included, so I'm just going to use my best judgment and past experience to both hydrate this brick. I'll add some aeration, and then we'll be able to put it into the grow bag. I took the brick out of the packaging, put it in this 5-gallon bucket. And looking at the label of the coco, see a couple things stick out there. It says pH balanced. That's good. It also says pre-wash, but I don't see pre-buffered. Oftentimes they'll not only wash the coco to try to lower the salt, but they'll buffer it by adding in calcium and magnesium, usually CalMag, for example. But one thing I did notice on the back of the nutrient bottles does show the different stages of growth and how much to feed in. So I'm assuming that there's enough nutrition in these bottles that I'm not going to need to actually pre-buffer the coco, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to start off by doing 1 gallon of water. This is reverse osmosis water. I've had this water jug for years. I initially bought the water, but since then I've been refilling it with reverse osmosis. I can't use the tap water where I live. It's too high in sodium. I've tried to use it before and the plants have suffered. So reverse osmosis water for here on out. And yeah, we'll just dump it in here and hydrate this brick. I put the whole gallon of water in there and that should absorb up pretty quickly here. What I'll do is, it's actually floating right now. I'm gonna push it down and we'll let it soak up there. And then I'll start breaking it up. I'll give it 5 minutes or so and then it should be soaked up enough to where I can actually break it up. The goal is to really have no chunks in it whatsoever. All right, so it's been a little while, probably about 20 minutes or so. And then this is the result so far. So all the water is completely gone. And now I'm really at the point where I'm just gonna start breaking this up with my hands. And And it looks like in the dead center, it feels like it could be almost entirely moist. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use both hands to break this up. And then we'll see kind of if there's still dry spots. Sometimes it's dry chunks. So I'm going to work at this, and if there are any dry chunks, maybe I'll add some more water in. Okay, so that actually broke up really well. There was no dry chunks in there at all. Everything was moist, and I don't need to add any more water into it. So 1 gallon of water was perfect for this brick. And I could just mark this as complete and run this coco as is, but I do like to add a couple things into coco. Number one being perlite. So some additional aeration. I really like to add that in with coco. And then the other thing is worm castings. I've had very good luck adding in worm castings. It's definitely not required, but worm castings does add in some nutrition as well as some beneficial microbes. So I add in some worm castings, some perlite, and then I'll mix it up even more. I ended up doing the rest of the worm castings that I had. It was about maybe 2.5 cups. So not really a whole lot. And then for perlite, it was about, I'd say about 10%. So I feel like that's pretty standard. Some people do 15%, some people do 20%, upwards of 30% perlite. This is about 10%. This is really where I like it. But yeah, now this is ready to go into the 3-gallon grow bag. All of the coco has been transferred to this 3-gallon grow bag, and it fills up pretty much to the top. It leaves about an inch or so, which I do like space like this so it prevents overflow when watering. But actually with this one, we're not going to be doing a top watering. We're going to do a bottom watering. But I may opt to do a top watering every now and then. I do like using Stash Blend, and that is a soil drench. Although I might be able to put it into that bottom reservoir and have it wick up. I personally prefer hand watering it from the top. Okay, so this is now all ready to go. I'm gonna clean up the mess that I made here and then put this bag into the smart box. And then we're gonna get this thing fired up and we'll get this grow going. Okay, I'm now almost at the point where I can plant into the medium. But first, I want to mix up some nutrients. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna be using the wick system here. The reservoir underneath there holds about 1.6 gallons. And those strings there will be right underneath the bottom of the fabric grow pot. And it'll actually wick up into the fabric grow pot. And with coco being an inert medium, that means there's no nutrition in it to begin. So adding in these base nutrients that they included is going to be key. And right on the back, there are instructions on how to do it. It mentions for seedlings, clone 1 to 3 milliliters per gallon and equal amounts of A and B. So we'll do 1 to 3 milliliters of base A and 1 to 3 milliliters of base B. I think I'm going to start off doing 1 milliliter of each and then seeing what the ppm turns out to be. The past experience running in coco, I usually like to do about 250 ppm. That's on a 500 scale ppm meter. So I'm going to do 1 milliliter of each into a gallon of water and we'll see what the ppm comes out to. Okay, I did 1 milliliter of A and 1 milliliter of B. There's 1 gallon of water in here. Let's see what the ppm is. It's showing about 139 ppm. That is pretty good. I think I'm going to add in 1 more milliliter of each and then see what it looks like. I added in 1 more milliliter of each. Let's see what the ppm reads now. 212. So this is a good spot in my opinion. So I'm going to put the gallon of nutrient solution in the reservoir there, and then I'll put the grow pot over it. I poured the nutrient solution over the top there and it wet the strings and also went down into the reservoir. You can see this water meter here. The red part has gone up, showing that there's water in there. And like I mentioned before, this red part will drop down as the water level lowers. Put the grow pot on top there, and now I'm ready to plant a seed into here. So the seed I have decided to plant in here was a tough choice. I have so many good genetics on hand that I really want to plant, but I decided to go with Magic Candy Mountain OG. This is by Welcome to the Grow Tent. It's actually Purple Frost Giant crossed with Chill It OG. And the reason why I chose this one is because I have grown it out once before, got a really good result with it. But with the experience of growing this out in the past, it should make things a little bit more predictable. Although each seed is a different pheno, it could be completely different from the one I grew before. I'm hoping that the amount of growth and stretch that comes from it is pretty consistent with the last plant that I grew. But we'll see. Alright, so we get the seed here, put it right in the middle, down about 1/4 of an inch. We'll drop that right there. Lightly bury it, not packing down that hard. And I want to get some water to this top area as well. So I'm going to spray it down real quick. Maybe I'll do the whole entire top of the medium real quick. Now I've got one of the humidity domes that came in the supply box. I'm just going to place that right on top there. I do have the vent closed off entirely. It'll hopefully sprout within the next 48 to 72 hours roughly. Sometimes it could take 4 or 5 days. I'm going to be patient with it. And yeah, the next thing to do would be to actually turn on the unit. We'll get some light on here, some air circulation, all that good stuff. And then we play the waiting game. Let's go back into the app. And now we're going to set the cycle here. We'll start at 100%. I don't know what the intensity, how much par that's going to give the plant to begin. I'll have to use a par meter to measure that. I'll come back to that. Seedling stage, we'll set that as a spectrum. Start time, I like to run my lights at night. So I'd like to start at 6 p.m. Duration 18 hours, 6 hours off. I'm going to do the sunrise sunset feature. There is some debate whether or not that does anything to the plant at all, but it won't hurt to have it on. Then I just press start. So now the grow light will kick on at 6 p.m. It'll stay on for 18 hours, so it'll turn off at 12 p.m. And yeah, I can go over to circular fan. I'd like for it to be on a speed of 1. Just keep some air movement going at all times as of right now. And then for the duct fan, I'll put that on 1 as well. It is the next day, and when I checked the temperature, it actually jumped up to 87 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity was really low. I did 3 things in order to adjust that. Number 1, I lowered the light intensity down to 25% from 100. I'm still gonna go in there with a par meter and figure out what amount of par that is giving the plant, or at least giving the area right above the medium where the plant is about to sprout. I also changed the circular fan up to speed 5, and I changed the duct fan to auto, max speed of 10, with temperature and humidity triggers. And then the standby status is speed 1. So the duct is constantly running at 1 speed. Got the par meter out. It's running at about 140 ppfd. That's at 25%. And I just have this door cracked open a little so it can get some of that reflective light to bounce back off the wall down in there. 137, 140, that should be sufficient for just when the seedling pops from the medium. From there, I'll have to bump it up. I like to do 200 to 400 ppfd for seedlings, 400 to 600 for veg, and then 600 to 900 for flower. Also added in this little USB humidifier, the AeroStream. So I have that plugged in, and it's all the way up, and that goes into the USB spot on the top here. And you can see I've kind of tucked the cables back a little bit here behind this pole to make things just a little bit cleaner. And I still just have the temperature and humidity probe just kind of hanging down right there. I'm still gonna look to position it so it kind of hangs down in the middle there. Back in the app under the USB spot, I got the humidifier set, it's on. I put it on auto, and I put it for right now just as a humidity trigger to come on if it goes below 70% relative humidity. Even though the seedling hasn't popped yet from the medium and the dome's on there, I still just want to put it on the humidifier to kind of get used to controlling the environment, making sure that I am going to be able to increase the humidity level to where I want it to be. Which really, I would like it to be, if we look back at the log, I'd like for this VPD to be at 0.8 or 0.9 kPa, and the humidity really needs to go up in order for that to happen. So we'll wait and see, and hopefully I can get the environment dialed in to where I want it before the seedling pops from the medium. So that way when it does pop from the medium, it'll be in a good environment. I'd love to know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on this VGrow box? Let me know, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll be continuing on this series. I hope to have a full seed to harvest series going on here, so stick around, and I'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, peace.